What can break someone mentally? Lack of sleep. Seriously, it's one of the most effective torture tactics out there. You beat me to it. You're 100% correct. It's more effective than physical torture. Add to that screwing with the victim's sense of time. Keep him in a room with the lights on all the time. Serve him breakfast at, say, 8:00 am. Then lunch at 11:00 and dinner at midnight. Breakfast the next day at, say, 10:00 am. Keep doing stuff like this, making it impossible to tell how much time has passed. Let him fall asleep for a few minutes. Then wake him by pouring cold water on him. Within just a few days he'll have sleeplessness-induced psychosis. He'll believe anything. Remember whatever you tell him. Confess to anything. Was sleep deprived for 10+ years. Had a brain that didn't rest. Plus nightmares that motivated to stay awake for as long as possible. At 11, I was averaging 6 hours of poor sleep a night. By 13, I was only getting 4. I was psychotic at 14. I continued to average between 1-4 hours of sleep a night until I was 18/19. I remember very little from those years. But I do know I was hearing voices and often couldn't tell if I was awake or dreaming. I had week-long periods where I totally disassociated. My brain wasn't fixed until I was 21 and it took some time to figure out a proper sleep schedule. 0/10 do not recommend. 10/10 brain breaking. I'm a surgical resident. There's a reason there's such a high burnout in my specialty. 28-hour shifts with no sleep. Then day of sleep and you can't sleep at night. Then do it all over again. Having to operate at 2 am. Not knowing when you'll have time to sit down and eat. Only good available is shitty fried cafeteria stuff. I like my job and I'm doing alright. But the lifestyle is tough. Boy did I learn this multiple times during my time in college. Many sleepless nights working on assignments or exams. Eventually I invented the personal saying of some sleep is better no sleep. Seriously. The days I didn't sleep at all were bad. The days where I slept at the minimum 2 hours. I definitely still felt like shit. But I felt less like shitty than with no sleep. Toxic families leave people broken for a long time. It's like building a house without a solid foundation. It's bound to collapse. If you can't even trust your family, how are you supposed to trust anyone? How are you supposed to learn kindness when you are surrounded by poison? Seeing your normal unravel and seeing it for what it is. That breaks a person. Seeing someone whom you had complete faith in just switch on you and actively try to hurt you. Had this happen to me recently. Did not see it coming. My body and mind just shut down for a while. The sense of betrayal hurts more than the thing they did. Loneliness. I suffered a mental breakdown because of that in 2017. And still didn't recover completely. It has made my depression worse and it has affected my life deeply. I get it. I really do. With being separated. Empty nest. Now lockdown. I totally understand. I also had a few breakdowns. Have you tried any vitamin B12 and magnesium sulfate supplements? These will speed up your recovery. Studies show that those who are really depressed and anxious often are lacking in magnesium sulfate and B complex vitamins. I tried it. And it really helps. As for the loneliness, keep coming to the online platforms. You will find that there are other people who are battling it too. My heart goes out to you. Here's hoping things look up for you real soon. Perfectionism. If you mean failure when you're a perfectionist, then this has happened to me. Nothing causes me to have a mental break except for when I fail at something that I check all the boxes to be perfect at. Working customer service. My son is in customer service and tells me some of the terrible things people say to him every day. He tries hard not to let it break him, but after 3 years of it I'm afraid it's taking a toll on him. Complete isolation. I can relate to this because I'm pretty introverted. I used to be in the mindset of I don't really want to be around anyone. Then COVID happened, and after not interacting with people for a while, it started to get me. I never felt it before, but it turns out I actually do need people. Some form of interaction, which is a wonderful revelation I made. Chronic illness. I feel this one most deeply. And X200B. Going on 3 years of numbness in my hands and feet. Feeling loopy. Tinnitus. Vision going after a serious case of strep. Doctors have said everything from atypical autoimmune presentation to collapsed neck muscles. School. Never being listened to. When people say nobody asked, whenever someone speaks like damn the world doesn't revolve around you, I can say whatever the hell I want. Lack of trust. When it's impossible to believe anyone. Everyone becomes an enemy. To that. When you create a system where everyone is afraid of everyone else. Anyone can be cracked to collaborate with the state, just threaten their family or livelihood. It changes the whole populace. And if you are all alone in this, it can totally break you. Stress. Dude, this should be higher up. I really don't think people understand how bad this is. I have a host of problems because of a few months of chronic stress. Things that seem like a real disease. I now even make more mistakes while speaking, and I'm super spaced out a lot. Stay away from hyper stress. And most of all, don't stress about being stressed. Emotional abuse. The abuser slowly learns to turn their partner's best traits into their weapons. They use and twist the love, compassion, patience and forgiveness they receive and fuel it with fear. Many victims need years to make sense of their story and trust themselves again. The death of a loved one or someone they were really close to. There's some courtroom video of a trial where someone raped and murdered a little girl. The father snuck in a gun and shot the rapist in court. After having kids. I can't imagine the pain that father went through, but I could envision the rage he felt. I could easily kill for my children. Completely agree. But I'd like to add that the circumstance really matters. Seeing my grandpa finally pass after struggling cancer wasn't that terrible. Since he was finally free from his pain after living a great life. I had a very close friend in her early 20s unexpectedly kill herself when everything seemed to be going right for her. She was one of the kindest and most compassionate people I've ever known, so nobody saw it coming. That felt like getting hit by a speeding train every day for a couple years straight before finally turning into nothing but an awful numbness. Though it's been years and years. Hardly a day goes by that I don't think about her and wonder why. Bullying, that's underrated. Isn't it? Close bracket. Damn right. If you're a decent person, you just think the bully needs to see what a good person you really are and it will stop. So you try hard to change their mind about you. When the bullying then continues, you can really start to believe there is something defective about you. Doing nothing for too long. Maybe some people can handle it. But I remember many years ago I was not going to school or working for about 6 months and just about lost my mind. Was unemployed for a year. At 19. I lost all social skills. Had the most negative view on the world and people that I've ever had and sunk into a black hole. Wasn't fun. Being in an awful workplace where you are bullied, sexually harassed and discriminated against will do it. It makes it even worse if your disability means you'll struggle to find elsewhere and you need a job to feed, clothe and put a roof over your child's head. It is even worse if you are the black sheep. Then no one believes you or cares. You start to think maybe I deserve this. Double quote. The threat of being tortured. Experts say more information is given up while anticipating torture than actually during it. Loss. Lots of people just break when they lose their spouse, kids, friends or family, either to death or taken away by authorities. I've always wondered how hard it must be for a parent to lose a kid. Basically your entire life's purpose ripped away, unlike a child who knows that their parents will die and be gone someday and they will have to live through it. But most parents don't think they will have to live through their own children's death. Losing his inventory. I felt that one. Realizing that one has misplaced his trust in someone. Even if trust was misplaced, not because the other person was ill-intentioned, but just incompetent. Points multiplied by the amount of trust one used to have. Unrealistic self-expectations. I can always meet a goal someone else sets for me, but the goals I set for myself just eat away until pop. Pimpology 101. Make them doubt themselves. Question everything they do. And tell them it's dumb. Tell them their ideas are stupid. Always correct them. Laugh at them when they talk. Tell them they are ugly when they cry. And have them leave the room. Talk past them. Tell them to shut up. Raise your voice when they get bass in theirs. Then they soon will stop talking and be mostly devoid of confidence, self-esteem and self-worth. You got M after that. Expectations. Being held to expectations can break you if you're struggling to make them. Dreaming that it's your birthday and that you've just won a sick RC car and then waking up, looking under your bed and there is no RC car. It was only a dream. My sibling works in a psyche ward. The answer. A lot of things. Like any part of your body, your mind can break as well. Be it financial stress, drugs, even being kicked out of a band. What's surprising to most people is how common it is. The good news is it's also very common that, like a broken bone, it just needs a bit of time to heal. The vast majority of her patients are only in for a week or two before they have gone through their healing process and are ready to move on in their life. Being a long-term caregiver for someone with Alzheimer's or dementia, especially if minimal backup support is available. Well, watching someone shoot themselves is pretty ravaging on your mental health. Happened to see my neighbor do this to himself this past weekend. Developmentally delayed children. Mindset, stress, and ignorance manipulate what a person thinks about themselves. Add stress and prevent them from releasing that stress. They'll degenerate into disorder. Poverty. Fake friends and or cheating spouses from experience. Having people that you think care about you but really don't can FCK you up. Being in love with someone who doesn't love you can destroy you. Dating can. You have enough people treat you like crap or refuse to give you a chance because of a trait you have that is totally out of your control. It makes you give up and just accept you will be alone forever. Too much hope. Small jabs about how they look over many years. Bottling everything and pretending to be okay. Whatever's on your mind has to come out eventually one way or another, and in the end it usually results in a breakdown. Bad leadership. Having a leader that constantly contradicts themselves and provides bad info when asked questions and then shifts priority back and forth within mins is a serious minfuck. Sexual assault. And I swear more women have been victimized than not, it seems. Men to IO. More than half the women. And the only gay man I told about my RP admitted to me they had also been raped or sexually assaulted. If they have two voices above their head, aka parents, always contradicting one another. I think the most obvious one is war. Plenty of YouTube videos of people losing their ambition or in general being unable to function in a society after going through war. Some people can manage, but humans are the only animals that invented war. There definitely have been recorded cases of tribes of animals going to war against each other. Don't disagree with the overall sentiment. But animals do go to war against each other too. Just a lot less often than we do. What would break me? Losing my children or husband. Coming in second would be losing another loved one to suicide. Drugs. Specifically psychedelics. If you aren't mentally prepared, take too much. Speaking from experience, I haven't been the same since. In both good and bad ways. Damn near anything even remotely negative. And even some generally positive things. Plus it only gets easier to break again every time it happens. Take care of yourselves, people. Having a significant other or close family member with mental issues. Maybe not break, but surely exhaust mentally. Being hurt deeply or cheated on by a significant other that meant the world to you. It takes your whole idea of trust, throws it out the window, beats the shit out of it with a hammer, and gives it back to you. A childhood filled with sexual abuse at the hands of people who were supposed to care for her. Witnessing domestic violence on a regular basis from infancy. And having a mother that has serial weddings and picks perverts every time. Add some neglect and some adults who know and leave her there and she never gets out until she's an adult. That breaks a person mentally. Probably forever. Guilt tripping. With no reason. For a long time. Whenever you try to tell them they're doing something wrong, they always tell everyone you're horrible and lying about making them sh. I had an ex that did that in Jesus FCK. I'm still recovering.